What is going on, guys? Random Hero Gaming back at it again with a Black Ops 2 commentary this time. My second favorite Call of Duty, rocking the bacon camo. The bacon camo, love it. Second favorite, probably the kawaii camo, if you guys remember that one. But anyway, on a more serious, very serious topic, the incel epidemic that is plaguing the youth of today, the black pill circles, this boogeyman of black pill circles, and the young men are falling trapped to it, and it's driving them mad, and it's one of the biggest threats to the United States and the world, and all that garbage. But I wanted to just say flat out, you will never hear me be rude or discriminatory to incels because they don't deserve it. They do not deserve it. They were given a fair hand, most of them. I'm sure there are some that are on the cusp or on the borderline of poor genetics, and maybe they could level up somehow with style, gym, losing weight, all that stuff. I'm sure that's possible, but the reality is women's standards have gone up. They are exposed to billions of men on social media. They see relationships that are seemingly perfect that blur out any negative or downside. So a lot of young men, I'd say most, vast majority, are just products of an unfair environment, of a failing society, of technology, and this newfound, sort of in the last 30, 40 years, this newfound ability that women have of seeing people that are outside their immediate circle. It used to just be, television. Now it's Instagram, Twitter, whatever, you name it. Anyway, you guys get the where I'm going with that. I don't need to repeat that. But I wanted to talk about something I saw on X. I saw this guy Billy Pratt. He's like a manosphere, like dude bro guy. I don't know. He just kind of corny guy. But he does a lot of like engagement farming and stuff, and he posted a Reddit post. I don't remember the subreddit or whatever, but it was a guy. He said he was talking about how his best friend committed suicide. His best friend offed himself because he was very depressed. He was only 5'5", and it really bothered him, and he was having no success with women, and it really drove him to a very dark place where he inevitably took his own life. And the OP was extremely depressed about it. He was sad. He was kind of just venting. He didn't know who to tell or what or who to talk to it about. And this guy, Billy Pratt, just posts a screenshot. He knows his audience. He knows the type of reaction he's going to get. And it's just like, and I'm not laughing at the Redditor. I'm laughing at just like the typical comment. Like if you sort by most liked, I'm going to read off to you the top 3 replies. First reply, as you've guessed, oh, he should have just gone to the gym. Most likes on the replies. He should have just gone to the gym. That would have solved his problems, going to the gym. Okay, yeah. Second one was a woman, probably a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 woman. E-girl has her Patreon or whatever in her bio, and she says short kings are really attractive. I love my short kings. I don't get why he would do that to himself. That's, something along those lines of short kings are amazing. We love our short kings. So I wanted to click on her profile because I wanted to see if she had pictures of her boyfriend or something. Like, let's see, is she dating someone that's short? and I didn't find a picture of her and her boyfriend or husband, but I did see her simping for Luigi Mangione. Like when she says short kings, that's what she means. This Italian guy with good facial structure that a lot of women find attractive, and most importantly, prone to violence. So that was the other one, and the third one was a guy just mocking the whole thing. Oh, his friend should have blew him. His friend should have taken one for the team and just gave him a blowjob. That was the third reply. Third most liked reply. And how just sick is that? Laughing to me is a coping mechanism. So if I laugh like at how sick that is, that's because it's just so grotesque that I don't even know what to do with myself when I read that. And that got me to thinking, why do people mock the incels so much? Why do they hate them so much? Why do they feel the need to pick on those that were given a bad hand that was mostly out of his control? He couldn't control his height, especially at the age of 17. He had zero control over his height. And I'm just wondering, why are these people mocking him? If a 17-year-old girl committed suicide, it's a national tragedy. Someone kills himself because they're male and they're 5'5", and they look at the prospects of life, possibly without love, and it's unbearable to them. And not even just that, but in the present moment, I'm sure something drove him to that, where he felt he was treated unfairly. But it gets you wondering, why does society just despise the incel? They make shows and documentaries and news articles, and I think a lot of it is because, especially with men, a lot of men hate the incels. For one, they're afraid to admit they are one, and statistically, men are getting the least amount of action they've ever gotten, ever. Men are more single than ever. So a lot of these people statistically making fun of incels probably are one, but don't want to admit or come to that reality that they are one. So, they kind of hop in and sandbag them and talk all the crap and kind of boost themselves. But I think the other thing is people see the incel and they realize how close they could have been to being one. Some people got very lucky. They met a girl in high school and just immediately bonded and just rode off into the sunset before social media and college and education, everything tainted either of them. And a lot of these people were just lucky with circumstances. They were born before a social media dating app era, and they like to imagine that they paired up with someone because of their skill, because their personality, because they worked on themselves hard enough, not that they were just lucky based on circumstances. So they see the incel and they hate them because deep down they know that they possibly could have been them too had they been born a bit later. I tell you, I look at a lot of boomers, especially a lot of these dysgenic boomers that rag on young men. Oh, why aren't you married? Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? So many of them were just born into luckier circumstances where everyone in a small town, medium-sized town, only knew each other, only saw each other, didn't have billions of people to draw comparisons to, didn't have dating apps that filter them out by height. So a lot of them want to feel special. It's an ego-driven thing. A lot of them want to feel like they did something right by their own actions. So how do they do that? They live in denial, and they want to think they're great. They don't want to think they got lucky by circumstance. That's another reason why I think they look at the incel with such disgust, because it kind of holds a mirror up to them and shows them just how degraded society has become. And the boomers don't like living with their actions. They don't. Even elder millennials, like, they got lucky They met some girl in high school, college right away, and they paired up, and they pick on the incels. If they were just born 10 years later and didn't meet their girl straight in high school, a lot of them, statistically speaking, again, half of Zoomer men, more than half, I think, actually. I think it's like 70% of Zoomer men are single. And millennials, it's not quite as high. But, again, millennial is a big generation. You got people born in the 80s and 90s. And born in the 80s and 90s is like different worlds, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. And if you are an incel, am I one? I really don't know. You know, I feel like it kind of changes. Like people, you know, true cell, fake cell, all this stuff. I've had success with women in the past. I kind of stopped caring now. People say, you know, cope, full cell, real cell. I don't know. I'm not good with the lingo, but all I'll say is this. If you are an incel, if you are very short, if you are just a young man that is smart, intelligent, empathetic, and you can contribute to this world. You can. And I think it's silly to base your entire self-worth on the opinions of a woman, especially a young woman. I think that's very tragic. I think with your friendship and the love you give, whether it be to animals, your friends, your parents, I think there's a place for you, even if you just live out of spite for this sick world and you just want to live long enough to see it go haywire. You want to see everything collapse. I think it's worth sticking around for that. I do. So that's all I wanted to say. Guys, be nicer to each other. It's difficult out there for all of us. The threshold for being a Chad is only growing much, much higher at an insane rate. So it's harder to break into that mold of Chad. But that's all I got to say, everyone. Let me know what you think below. Good night.